Everyone, welcome. My name is Vivian. I'm the founder of Vibe with Viv Relationship Coaching, and that stands for Vision, Inspiration, Belief, and Empowerment. I'm also a doctor specializing in mental health, and my goal is to help bring back vision, inspiration, belief, empowerment, and healing into your life after you've gone through a relationship heartbreak. Maybe that looks like a breakup, a divorce, a separation. So any emotional relationship heartbreak you've gone through, my goal is to help heal and support you on that healing journey. So this is you today, welcome. And today we're going to be talking about healing and trauma. So just a little background here. So I've Tarji's new show. It's called Peace of Mind by Tarji. And it is so great, you guys. And the first episode was with Gabrielle Union. And on this episode, they were talking about PTSD. So we're going to be diving a little bit more into that. Some of the childhood traumas that you and I have experienced that is now being seen in our relationships, unknowingly or knowingly. We see it being replicated in our relationships today because of the trauma we had as children or young adults growing up. So let's dive in. So if you missed that first episode, so Tarji had Gabrielle Union on the show, and Gabrielle Union was talking about how she was raped at the age of 19 at gunpoint, and how traumatizing is that to go through something like that at such a young age, at any age actually, and then expect to go back and function normally. She said that she experienced that and she didn't know she was actually having PTSD symptoms until someone she talked to told her that what she's going through when she complained about her hands feeling like it was going numb was actually PTSD. So oftentimes when we think about PTSD, we think about someone who's been in who was in war, someone who's a vet and now they're experiencing PTSD. But we can get PTSD symptoms from different traumas outside of war, and we can see the same symptoms. And props off to Gabrielle Union for being able to speak out about her trauma. And I'm sure she's not the only one who has experienced whether it's rape in their life growing up, women and men. But the thing is, we don't talk about these things. We don't seek the help that we need to. And I'm so excited that Tarji provides that platform, especially for people of color, because we don't talk about these things. And I speak on that on myself as well, because as African-American, a Black woman, and a Cameroonian too as well, we don't talk about the childhood traumas that we've experienced or witnessed. And because of that, we see it replicate in different areas of our lives. Maybe in your community too as well, you've experienced things or you see things that are traumatic, but your community does not foster a space to address those things. And what happens when we don't address those things, what Gabrielle Union said, it now starts being replicated in relationships and it's hard to function. So what traumatic event have you gone through? Maybe yours is not exactly like Gabrielle Union's. Maybe you saw your parents argue. Maybe you grew up in a home where your parents ended up getting a divorce. Maybe you were molested as a child. Maybe you were abandoned by a parent. Maybe you felt like you were alone. Maybe you witnessed poor communication, arguments between people that were supposed to be there for you. All of these things add up to being a traumatic event if we don't handle it, if we don't process it and see it as something we need to acknowledge for ourselves and work through. So you may be wondering, well, I went through those things. How do I know if it's an issue now? So what are some signs of PTSD, right? So when you go through a traumatic event, you can have certain symptoms that come up. Maybe you experience nightmares from that event. Maybe you go to sleep and things come up in your mind, you have racing thoughts. That's a symptom of PTSD. So that's post-traumatic stress disorder. So after going through something traumatic, maybe you have triggers. There's certain things that trigger you to have emotions that take you back to those situations. Maybe you try to avoid those triggers. Maybe you become angry because you're holding on to this thing that happened and you can't let it out. So now you easily become angry and you have outbursts. Maybe you can't concentrate now. Maybe part of your body goes numb, like what Gabrielle said. Part of her hand and knees would go numb. She felt like she was having a heart attack within. So those are just a few signs of PTSD, but those things are real. So you don't have to have gone to war to experience that, but things growing up in your childhood that are not addressed, that are traumatic, can have the same effects. So, and when those aren't addressed, you can see now in your relationships, maybe now you have issues trusting men because you didn't have a dad who was in your life. Maybe you have issues with sexual interactions because you were raped or molested as a child. So those things are real. It is very real. And it's time for us to talk about it, to address it. Because once you can heal from those things and come to terms with it, you can be at peace and move forward and enjoy the life you really desire. So you don't have to do this alone. You do not. Oh, my heart feels heavy. um, Ooh, I didn't feel that coming on. Yeah, and speaking from someone who has experienced stuff like that, it is hard. Ooh, I really did not see this coming. Oh my gosh. Oh my. But trauma is real. It is real. And just like what Gabriel talked about, we have to seek external support if we need to, and not to be afraid to get that support. But the first step is to acknowledge that you do have some things that we need to work through. There are things that may have happened that you need to put it to the forefront, because if you don't, it'll keep repeating itself. And my desire for you is to recognize those trauma in your life. How has it been hindering you? How has it been stopping your relationships from moving forward? The first step is awareness. I'm sorry that I'm kind of hesitating because I'm kind of working through I didn't see these emotions coming up, but they did. But the first step is acknowledging that there are some traumatic things that may have happened in your life that you need to face. Yeah, face to face on. Because if you don't, you will see it continue in different areas of your life, and different things will be a trigger. And the next step is realizing that you may need external support. Just like Gabrielle Union talked about, she had to start seeing a therapist. So getting external support, whether that's a therapist, someone where you can talk through those feelings, that experience, is so much needed, so beneficial. And certain times you may need some medication support on that journey as well. It doesn't have to last forever, but just to get you through some of those symptoms. It's a healing journey. It's a journey that you are on. You're not going to have this quick fix overnight, but recognizing that giving yourself grace to keep going forward, to heal from whatever trauma that you may have experienced. Because on the other side is a place of fullness, of fruitfulness, of peace, of joy. And you can look back at that experience and help that propel you forward. Now it's hard to see, but once you get on that healing journey and work through those things, you can get on the other side. So trauma is real, guys. Whether that's violence you saw, physical, emotional abuse, those things happen in children. It may have happened to you. And if you haven't addressed those things, it will impact your relationships today. It will impact the way you view the partner you're with. It'll impact the kind of person you choose to be with. If you were abandoned, you will be afraid that you'll be abandoned in your relationship, and will try and hold on to bits and pieces of things and people that don't actually serve you. But until you address the trauma you've experienced as a child, as a young adult, you will keep repeating the same thing. So recognize that you have that trauma. Seek support and know that you're on a healing journey. It's a journey. And some of the clients that I have worked with, one woman particularly, she experienced sexual abuse as a child growing up. And till this day, she still has issues when it comes to intimacy in her relationship. She will have flashbacks of those experiences, and it makes it hard for her to have a relationship with anyone. But until she's able to come to a place of addressing those traumatic events, those emotions, it will hinder her from having the kind of relationship she desires. So trauma is real. It's time we need to start talking about it. Time for us to start healing from it. If you want to have a healthier relationship with self and the people around you, we need to start addressing those things. And my desire for you is to heal. Heal from the past hurt and pain so you can have the life you desire, the kind of relationships that you want. So send me a message. I am with you on this journey. I had that cry breakdown there. I did not see that happening, but it did. That's because I've had my own things too as well, with some of the experiences that I had growing up in Cameroon. So with that, I've had to work through some of my emotions, coming to terms with it. And I can say that I feel at peace now that I have been able to speak out some of those experiences that I had as a child. And I feel more confident in who I am and also in my marriage now because of that too as well. So there's something powerful in having intentional conversations with someone who you can trust and who can help you face those traumatic events. And one key therapeutic approach I like to use is exposure therapy. So with exposure therapy, it can be stressful or daunting to think about, but you and I work through that experience where we gradually expose you to that experience in a way that will gradually desensitize you to the emotions that comes with it. So that's something that we work on together. It's a process, it's a technique, and I help guide you through that. And I am with you on that journey, and you don't have to be afraid to heal from your trauma so you can live your best life. So I hope this is helpful to someone. If this is you and you'd like to connect with me, please send me a message at info@vibewithviv.com. And if you're interested in my Achieve Emotional Healing program, send me a message as well. And let's connect and see if it's a right fit for you. But you do not have to go through this healing journey on your own. Until next time, Vibe with Viv.